literally. And we took that thought away, and I'm pleased to say we did actually do something. So what we did was this. And some of you would have seen this. It's called Uncovering the Trail of Lies. And what it is, it's the biggest study to date looking into trail hunting as a false alibi. And this document here was written by a colleague of mine who's not here today, but he will be speaking in, I think it's in 2 weeks, at the Stafford Badger Festival. He's called Geordie, and he's our resident fox hunting expert. And we had in this document lots of detail, lots of evidence, over 10 years worth of operations we looked at. We looked over footage from wildlife crime investigators, we looked at footage and testimonials, we looked at expert opinion, articles. We went through hours and hours and hours of footage and spent hours and hours and hours and hours reviewing documents, and we made this. And this document here, although it actually looks fairly chunky, is just a summary. It's a summary of the evidence that we found. Behind this document is a 200-page document of facts, figures and testimonials that kind of backs up everything that you see in this summary report. So, let me tell you what the report found out. The key findings. So basically, like I say, we went through 10 years worth of evidence. This wasn't just a flash in the pan, it wasn't just a little bit of desk-based research. We've been operating in the field for all those years. We have footage, we have expertise, we know what's been going on. And the key finding, that all available evidence that we had did indeed suggest that trail hunting is primarily being used and was primarily created simply to avoid prosecutions of illegal hunting. And what's more, the systems used for trail hunting are specifically designed so that so-called accidents can happen. And once again, what we mean by an accident is when a fox is accidentally chased and accidentally ripped apart by a pack of hounds that are trained to identify that fox's scent, and they are trained to pursue that fox. And that, following the formula of trail hunting, which is trail hunting plus accident equals excuse, means that everything was carrying on just the way it was. And why do we think these accidents are kind of designed? Well, it's quite simple really. Basically, in trail hunting, the idea is that they use real fox urine as the scent. Okay, so that, if you were trying to avoid your hounds chasing a fox, that for me would be a very, very, very odd choice of scent to use. Because bear in mind, you can train them to scent on anything. So they use real fox urine. So that's a little bit weird. The next thing is they choose known fox habitats. So again, you're trying to avoid hunting a fox. Where would you go? Maybe somewhere where there's no foxes? Or maybe not. It depends on what side of the fence you're on. So the habitats are the same, fox habitats and using fox urine. And then suddenly the idea being that the hounds are following this alleged trail that's been laid, and an innocent fox kind of crosses the trail, the dogs get confused, and then basically the dogs attack the real fox, and it's all a tragic mistake. But it's an engineered accidental mistake. The other thing actually that came out, which we weren't particularly looking for, but when we reviewed the evidence, we thought about the use of terrier men. And for those of you that know about fox hunting, basically terrier men, they're often in balaclavas, and they're often their identity concealed. They go around on the quad bikes, and their job in traditional fox hunting, pre-ban, was to basically flush a fox out if it hides, if it goes underground. So basically, dogs are chasing a fox goes underground, the terrier men are called in, they dig it out so that the fox can bolt and the dogs can pursue chasing it. If you're not chasing a fox, you think, why on earth do I need a terrier man? So over 10 years, with all of our investigations, we found that 78% of the hunts that we monitored were still using terrier men. And that, for me, is a little bit strange. And then also of significant interest. So 10 years worth of monitoring operations. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of footage. You know what we found out? That in 99% of the monitoring operations, there were no reports by our trained operators of any sign of genuine trail laying. So, to flip that round, we saw what we would consider genuine trail laying in 1% of all of our monitoring operations over 10 years. 1%. And, realistically, that could have been just to put on a show because they knew we were there or they knew the press were there. So that, for me, doesn't suggest that trail hunting is a real thing. So, ladies and gentlemen, do we think this is right? No, it's not right. It's not right. And do we want this to stop? Good. You know what? So do we. Because we don't want to accept it anymore. We don't want to accept this trail of lies. So, here's what we're going to do. But we need your help, okay? So we're going to continue to fight against these crazy exemptions that exist in the Hunting Act that make this kind of thing possible, because they're easy to manipulate and they're designed specifically to let the old habits carry on. And that's not in the spirit of the law. The law was designed and it's not being taken in the spirit of the law. So there are technicalities and it's quite easy to use them, but that's not how laws work. You shouldn't be desperately seeking a way to beat the law. The law was brought in. We do polls and other charities do polls, and every year, year on year, without fail, around 80% of the population are against fox hunting, or rather the actual question is, do you want to keep the ban on fox hunting? And 80%. And some people say to me like, oh yeah, that's because they're all people from the city. They're people like you. I mean, I live in London, you know, I'm not a countryside person, but I'm against fox hunting because it's barbaric and it's cruel. And they often throw that back in our face, that, oh, you city folk, you don't understand the country pursuits. But the actual figures are always 80%, regardless of whether you come from the city or if you're from a rural area. It doesn't matter. People do not want fox hunting brought back. You know what, the law's there for a reason, and times have changed since, you know what, the days when that was fine, they're long gone. We used to have other things that were bad too, but we grew up. Like we had bear baiting, we don't do that anymore, do we? And we don't have any people campaigning to do that. There's no exemptions for that. It's banned and people adhere to it. Dog fighting, it still happens, but it's barbaric and it's illegal and people know it's illegal. There's cockfighting. All these things have been banned because they're cruel. We don't need this in our country today. We've got all of you amazing people here today celebrating our British wildlife. So why on earth would we let these people carry on, just a tiny, tiny, tiny minority of the population who participate in this sport, or so-called sport? It's just unreasonable. So we're also going to continue to call for a strengthening of the Hunting Act, because we need to change it. We definitely don't want to lose it. So we're going to fight against any repeal, which is still on the cards. It's a manifesto pledge by the Conservative government, and that means they will do it this term. But we're going to fight it. We're going to work with MPs, we're going to work with anti-fox hunting MPs, and we're going to work with pro-fox hunting MPs. And we're going to make this act stronger. We're working in Scotland as well, because there is an appetite in Scotland to strengthen the Hunting Act there. So here's what we need you lovely wildlife-loving, dedicated people to do to help us and help the other charities, all of our friends here today, to fight for the foxes. Because we're in this together. A few of the speakers today have mentioned that these animals don't have a voice and foxes don't have a voice. And they need all the help that they can get. Got Freddie here. Freddie doesn't have a voice. And Freddie needs your help. So, we want you to speak to your MPs, okay? You can write to them, you can call them, you can email them, you can attend their surgeries. And you know what? It doesn't matter if they're a pro-hunt MP or if they're an anti-hunt MP. If they're an anti-hunt MP, fantastic. Tell them that you're supporting them because they are anti-hunt. Tell them it's important to you and you value their decision on hunting. And more interestingly, if they're a pro-hunt MP, don't let that put you off too. Speak to them, ask them why. You know, challenge their assumptions, challenge their arguments, find out what's behind their thought process. Download Trail of Lies or give us a call, we'll send you a report. Discuss it with them. If they say to you about, you know, that it's not happening, that trail hunting is a new thing, it's harmless, it's not cruel, throw them this. Put this in front of them and say, what's your thoughts? Where's your evidence? Where's your 10 years worth of data that suggests trail hunting is happening? And basically, just don't listen to this absolute nonsense about fox hunting being an effective way to control the pesky wildlife population, because that is absolute lies. And don't listen when they say fox hunting is a humane way to control population, because that is absolute lies. It is not humane to chase a fox, and it's not humane to kill a fox with a pack of dogs. And you know what? That's why it's not allowed. Because if it were, it would be allowed. The science has been done. And then you need to tell them that keeping the act, so that's in basically not allowing for a repeal of the act to happen. You need to tell them that that's important to you. And it's important to you as their constituent, because basically your vote equals their job. They are designed and employed to represent you as the voters. They need to know how you feel. And basically you want to do this, you want to be polite, you want to be professional, and you really want to be prepared. But one thing is, you don't need to be scared. You can have these conversations. There's a ton of information on our website, there's a ton of information on the net. It's all rounded, good information. Don't be scared to have these conversations with pro-hunt MPs. So ladies and gents, together we will stop this, and we won't give up. So I'm really proud of all of you here today. I'm proud that you're showing, you know what, the strength and the unity of coming together. I was proud of you last year. I'm proud to be here myself. And I think it's great that we come together once a year to show that we care. And I'm proud that we're telling our government through events like today that we love our wildlife. It's ours. It's not there to be taken by anyone. It's our wildlife. And that our wildlife is better alive than it is dead. So I think that's pretty much all I have to say to you guys today. So thank you for listening. Thank you, Freddie, for helping me out today. And if you've got questions, we're more than happy to answer it. We're just right over there with the blue tablecloth. Do come along, have a chat, ask some questions. If you want to learn more, go to the website, IFAW.org. We're the International Fund for Animal Welfare. My name is Phil Mansbridge. I'm the director here in the UK. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Thank you, Freddie.